Okay, everybody, welcome to the first edition. Well, hello. Welcome to the first edition of CryptoGreen, Crypto Monday's Green podcast. I'm super excited to be here at ETH Denver. This is going to be an amazing podcast. What we're going to have is we're going to talk about sustainability. We're going to talk about ESGs. We're going to talk about Bitcoin energy generation. We're going to talk about the biodiversity. We're going to talk about regeneration. And this topic, regeneration finance, is a big topic. As a matter of fact, I think Fortune magazine says this is going to be one of the major topics, not only in blockchain, but also in technology in general. And I think in the earth in general. So we have a key founder and expert today. I'd like to introduce John Ellison. John Ellison is the founder of ReFiDAO, and we're going to talk about that and all the amazing things. I saw him here yesterday. It was an amazing speech, and I can't wait to and I know the Crypto Mondays community is going to love to hear what he has to say and what they're doing over there at ReFiDAO. And so just to let everybody know what we do, what we're going to be doing on a CryptoGreen podcast, every time we're not only going to have a founder or a project to highlight as a featured guest, but we're also going to have surprise co-hosts. So nobody knows who the surprise co-host is going to be before we do the podcast. And let me tell you guys, I got some of the coolest people, coolest names across not only blockchain, Web3, but also in sustainability. So we're going to look at outside expert views on stuff. We're going to contrast. We're going to have different things. All right. I got a few characters that I'm going to call in if we need support. And these are like Gatorade. Gatorade is going to help us to break down a topic into its smaller parts, right? Monkey sauce. Monkey sauce is going to be some different direction that we're going to have to go in. Okay, so I might throw in a few things like that. I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors, Shill, the oil company that you can make sure to shill your project and kill the environment. Shill, go get some. All right, I got BrandonDavid. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. He is the man, the Web3 podcast host of Miami. Go ahead. Tell us about yourself for a minute, our surprise co-host.
Hey, honored to be here. I'm BrandonDavid, Director of Community at Krypton Labs. We're a startup accelerator and hosts of the Miami Web3 Happy Hour and also Why Web3 Music Tech Connect.
Right, all right. And John, I'd like you to introduce yourself for a minute. Tell us about yourself, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Great to be on the show. My name is John Ellison. I'm the founder of a community called ReFiDAO. I've been working in startups since I was 16. I'm 32 now, so done the startup journey many, many times. Had some hard lessons, but also some little successes. And it really was a kind of pivotal experience getting acquired by a company called OpenGov in the Bay Area. We were building software for governments. I wasn't a founder, I was just a product manager at the time. But it really opened my eyes to the power of community-led decision-making at a physical scale. You know, roads, infrastructure, education, homelessness, like how does the government really take input from its constituents and make good, well-informed decisions? And this kind of opened my eyes to the whole concept of local governance and also behavior change. I had a little excess capital that I started looking at investing towards impact and realized that like ESGs were vacuous. They were excluding some parts of the market. Yes, okay, no tobacco and firearms, but like there was nothing really radically sustainable or environmental about these assets. And so I started looking into other industries, ended up starting a couple social enterprises in the UK. Those are still running today. I don't have any involvement, but like learn, the hard work of bricks and mortar, pushing atoms, not just bits. And I ended up exiting one of my startups during the pandemic and was just looking at a greater point of leverage. Like, how do I enact planet scale change? And I really kind of dismissed Bitcoin and Ethereum. I just didn't get it. Like the culture wasn't there. I didn't really understand it. But when I saw Uniswap and I saw Aave and I saw Maker, the open source money legos of DeFi just had this huge epiphany for me. I realized that if this new financial system could be designed with regeneration in mind as a default, as the fabric of this money system where capital is flowing towards the places that need the money, tree planting, renewable energy infrastructure, all of that this could change the world in a way that nation states couldn't and corporations can't. And so for me, this is the hypothesis, is that these Web3 tools provide the most powerful coordination mechanism to solve the most pressing challenges of our time that other organization structures can't solve. So this is where I'm at ReFiDAO. I've had a journey at ClimaDAO and Toucan. For those of you who know them, I was the interim executive at Toucan for about 9 months. And happy to dig in a little deeper into what we're doing at ReFiDAO, if that helps.
Wow, amazing, man. All right, so, normal guy like me, what am I supposed to do with refi, right? What's up?
You could cook it. Well, you just got to add the NE, and then you could have refined beans. No, that's refried beans. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Shit.
My bad.
I was going to say, does that go with chicken?
That's crazy.
Can I eat that with a spork?
I think you can now in East Denver, for sure.
Okay, all right. We're gonna have to refine this. We're gonna have to refine this a little bit more. So tell us. I'd love to hear your story, especially with ClimaDAO or ClimaDAO. It's actually
ClimaDAO.
It's like German, right? Klima, like climate change, right? Klima.
Klima.
Yeah, I'm gonna have them on the show. I don't know about next, but the audience look forward to ClimaDAO as well being on here. But this keeps coming in and out.
Yeah, you got to be real close.
Okay, it wasn't those like mushrooms that I took earlier. Okay,
they were adaptogenic.
Yeah, man, that's the reishi business.
Well, yeah. Okay, so in a sense of refinance, I'd love to unpack your story, man. That would be cool. But before that, just like tell us, can you define refi? What refi is?
So refi is shorthand for regenerative finance. It's a combination of two things. On the one hand, this whole discipline of regenerative economics, how you can create new economic systems that actually care for clean air, clean water, thriving soils, the land that we need to survive, and the ability to produce food. That's this whole discipline of how to not only sustain what we have, but to restore and to regenerate, because we've depleted so much of our land mass. Over 75% of the Earth's soil has been depleted by human population. We need to regenerate this in order to survive long term. So that's the one hand, regenerative economics. The other hand is decentralized finance, which I'm sure your listeners are well familiar with. And you combine this discipline, regenerative economics, decentralized finance, and you get refi. And so I think this term is a meme, it's an idea, it's a movement, but it's also this entire new industry that's being made possible as all the nations of the world are looking at how do we reach net zero by 2050.
Okay.
Jack Johnson. He's got that song Better Together. But I think of Jack Johnson first because, he came up as a surfer, was injured, and found music. But the way he does music is more like an expo for social and environmental impact.
Love it.
From his family unit, the way he tours. And so the concerts that's one brand, one band that's hosting thousands of people nightly and hundreds of thousands of people across the nation. So music. So, that's where I think the connection of people like Jack Johnson who they party with a purpose and more brands like that spreading awareness.
Yeah, totally. I think it plays to the cultural precedent here. I mentioned that I think refi is a cultural movement as well as a technological one as we start to just value things differently. It's like, oh, actually, this sucks when our climate is super unstable and there's forest fires all the time and the temperatures are so hot that people are fucking dying in their homes in the summer. Like, maybe we should change our value system and put our money towards what we actually need to survive. And music and art and, community and all of these ways are different ways of expressing these values through culture.
Yeah. Well, they connect to the emotional level, but also, the intellectual level. And I know Jack Johnson, the only thing I know about that song is that he has a song, Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle. I think is him, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering, in the sense of value system changes. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit deep here. Usually on Crypto Mondays we keep it kind of light, and we're going to keep it 20 minutes. I promise he's got to get on a plane. But when you think of the reduce, reuse, recycle, that's like, okay, that's music. That's speaking directly to us, man. Which is like, hey, man, practical. I'm the regular, average, everyday Joe. I was hanging out with this girl yesterday who they were trying to take her plate. We were at the poker, and they were trying to take her just like paper plate away, but she's like, no, I'm going to reuse it. They kept on trying to take it away. She's like, no, I'm going to reuse it. I'm going to reuse it. Yeah. And so there's this like idea of like, lowering our own carbon emissions by not taking flights. There's reuse stuff, recycle stuff. That you're talking, that's like individual responsibility.
Yeah.
You're talking about like macro level value 100%. Systems change. We 100%. Need to take ReFiDAO and regenerate the entire Earth from our perspective.
Yep.
Right. How to like, and what he's talking about, the connection between culture and arts and things like that. How do you break this down? Let's say break down this ReFiDAO, because this is really big macro level stuff you're talking about here.
Totally.
How do you break it down to the individual and not just scare us with forest fires and stuff like that?
Totally.
But like tell us what we can do to really get into this movement.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is a vision where we have this online community that has this moral innovation that basically says, we believe that people and the planet are not separate, that people are not separate from each other. We're all one living organism as a single species on Earth. When the soil gets depleted, this affects us and our life and our health and well-being. And so we have this online community with a really clear purpose to enact this system of values through our financial system, because we believe that money itself is actually the highest point of leverage to enact change. The US dollar is literally, the glue that brings together the entire global economy. And if you think about the US dollar being backed by the health of our forests, or the vibrancy of our oceans, or, the well-being of our society, then suddenly, everything would look very different if our flow of value is connected to those important things. But right now it's not. It's completely disconnected. And so in a very tactical and specific example of what we want to do at ReFiDAO is incorporate local ReFiDAO nodes in the key startup cities all around the world. SF, New York, Berlin, Boston, Bogota, Lisbon, Nairobi, Bangalore, Singapore, Hong Kong, and say, hey, you guys want to make a difference. You really care. 84% of people say they're gravely concerned about climate, but don't know what to do about it.
84%.
84%. And here's what you do about it. With ReFiDAO, you can raise a treasury for a token in your community, ReFi Lisboa, ReFi NYC, ReFi SF, and have a pool of money that you have a vote on how to deploy this capital to regenerate not only your city, but also to build experiments and regenerative economic models to prove, hey, this actually works here and we can scale this all over the world. And so this idea of putting the power of a new economic system into the hands of startup founders and investors and builders and academics, and building a framework for a regenerative economic sandbox in the local startup ecosystems around the world is incredibly empowering and powerful, because we're building this mobile first. This is not for your super techie, you got to know Web3 wallet and all of this. This is like, hey, download an app, your Lisbon app or your NYC app, sign in with email and set up your wallet for the first time. You probably won't even know there's private keys behind there, but you can convert fiat into the local node token and say, hey, I now have $100 in ReFi Lisboa, and I can vote on this upcoming proposal to buy some land and to install solar panels and go out there and see this impact being made on the ground right now today, and see the renewable energy credits coming out of these systems on chain as it happens, and go like, my money right there made a tangible difference. I can publicly verify it. And I know for a fact, because I can visit this site, that I'm making a difference in this complex crisis. And I'm going to tell everybody else about it too, because this is what we all need. We need a community that's rooted in this hope, rooted in gratitude and rooted in action, and it isn't waiting for corporations or for nations to solve this problem, because they won't.
So,
go ahead.
Is there like a reward system connected to this, like a gamification?
Yeah, that's ReFi token. So basically, the ReFi token becomes this reserve currency for all of the local nodes. It's the asset that is paired together and makes these markets possible. But you as an individual member, you can log into the app and you can see, oh, these are the different behaviors that I can do today to get ReFi token. Maybe it's donating $10 to universal basic income, and that's impact market. They've said, hey, we want to give stamps. Anybody who can donate $10 to UBI gets 10 ReFi tokens today.
Okay.
So suddenly you have this coordination layer where you can do specific behaviors, like you're rewarded for doing that, and have an income stream of doing good for the planet.
Yeah, I'm wondering, how is this different than like a Cello or, a different project? I mean, whether it's KlimaDAO itself or, I don't know if you mentioned Toucan, you have insider knowledge about all this stuff. How is ReFiDAO different? Because it seems like, I want to get involved in a community, a global movement for climate change.
Yes.
And I'm just a regular dude or a regular person. And now there's like 10 to choose from. It's like, shit in the supermarket in America. There's like, I just want some peanut butter.
Totally.
And there's like 24 different types of Jif.
Justin's. I say Justin's is a good one. Justin's peanut butter.
The creamy stuff. Yeah, man.
All right. You heard it here first, everyone. Justin's creamy peanut butter. Put it on your sandwich.
Now backed by Carbon.
Now back. Yeah. Backed Carbon with Justin's Justin's peanut butter. And don't forget, with your peanut butter, your mouth might get super sticky, so you might need some liquid death. It's water, but it's called liquid death.
And it's in a can.
when
This
he
isn't
drinks
beer.
Yeah, every time you drink it, though, it comes to life.
But this is what's going to happen, man, and this is why your message is so severe. He's talking about the liquid death of our clean water systems, right?
Totally.
He's talking about that we need to act and act quickly. So I need to choose.
How's it different?
Some DAO.
So the reason this is different is it's built for local communities first and foremost. This is for people at events showing up in the flesh and saying, "What can I do?"
Okay, hold on. That's just to piggyback onto that. It's an app, and the app is going to be based on location. So like Crypto Mondays, where we have 50 cities now, 45,000 members. We love you all. You're going to have a different app for each city.
Yeah, so it's the same software, it's the same infrastructure, but we want to have a portal effectively for the local nodes that we incubate. And we want to have an app for Lisbon so that your initial engagement with the network is at a local level. You're seeing the local people, the local projects, the local events, the local ways to get involved. But you can also have access to the online community and to all the other nodes if you want to. So it's your passport. We call it the ReFi passport.
Cool. And what's different about this?
Yeah, what's different about it is you basically immediately have access to impact on the ground that you can publicly verify and see in your community. And it's all directed towards real world assets. There's a specific mandate as we help raise these local nodes that 50% of the treasury raised goes towards buying real world assets like land, like solar panels, like forests. And so this isn't a, cloud-based Ponzi scheme where, it's backed by nothing. This is like, no, this is actually trying to go out and prove that this Web3 technology can be fundamental in acquiring the key assets that will help stabilize our climate, but also provide a resilient economy. And so I think this piece here of like really showing the proof is in the pudding on the ground it really isn't being done today.
Cool.
Sounds like kind of like now and later, right? So it's like the climate aspect is like, hey, we're going to help for later, but you're showing tangible evidence
Right now.
Yeah.
And I think, we're looking at building on Celo, the ReFi passport. We're also talking to Polygon and to Near and folks at Solana. We want to have ReFiDAO be a network that is not based upon one single technology or one single industry. Like this is a network state for the entire Earth, and we need to make sure that we have a level of pluralism here.
Dude, network state. He's mentioned the word. It's like he's mentioned the word. It's come out now. Now, what are we going to do now, man? We don't have time for a 3-hour podcast for John to tell us about the network state. But anyways, let's. We're going to fast forward because I do have one question I want to end with that's about the next generation. But before that, network state. Okay. Just to review, everybody, he just said that there's going to be an asset backing, and then they're going to also invest in projects, just like you would with paying taxes in the government, and you see that they're building roads and highways and stuff, public goods. You're going to see the same kind of public goods coming out of this token.
Out of these local
and then there's
nodes,
also other benefits from using their token, and obviously you can see the visionary leadership of this man here and of what they've come up with, and they got a lot of experience and stuff like that. In relation to the network state, quickly, how does that fit in? I know you talked about online communities just a second ago, and I consider a network state kind of like an online community in a way, but how does that fit into your vision?
Yeah, so it's just the architecture, right? Like we heard of Balaji's network state a while ago, and we've just been going on this path. And as we mapped out a roadmap, it's like, hey, we want local nodes. We want local governance tokens. We want to acquire real world assets on the ground. We realized that it's the same architecture. It's an online community that groups locally in physical areas and is acquiring land and taking collective action. That is literally what we're doing. But the key difference is that we are not trying to create new boundaries. We're not saying that we're an alternative to the nation state. We're saying that we are an accelerant, an ally to show these local governments how it works and prove that regenerative economics can grow GDP actually in a more lucrative and well-balanced way than the current system. And so if we have an on-chain app, ReFi Passport, and we can run a census and say, hey, we're 1 million members strong. We've got $1 billion GDP rooted in 12 local startup cities around the world. We have this much land. We've issued this many carbon credits. And look at the growth of this economy.
Yeah, rocket. Okay, so measurable data in that.
Yeah, it's like, even I think most people don't even know what a nation state is, or even the concept of like liberty applied to this nation is actually technically supposed to be 50 different nation states. So what is a nation state? And then can we even real simple, like what's a nation state? And then what is a network state in like 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, Gatorade, break it down, Gatorade. Coming down from Florida, Gatorade, baby. All right, break it down, 30 seconds.
All right, nation state is two different concepts. The nation is the people. It's the people that identify with the same set of values, like we're the Kurdish people or we're the American people. We have this same value system, right? And the state is the governance structure. It's the bureaucracy. It's the decision-making mechanism that takes care of the people of the nation. And we have conflated these two concepts and we call them nation state, but actually they're two separate parts. And as you look at all the different conflict in the world, you see that there are state boundaries which are trying to govern multiple nations with radically different values and views, and it creates conflict between them. So the difference with a network state is we have a very unified online community that has a core set of values. And so this is the centralization of thought, the centralization of value. And the decentralization is where we collectively gather. It's all around the world. It's embedded in the existing states. And so we have almost like an inverse architecture to a nation state where we're centralized in our thought, but we're decentralized in our physical location. And we can take coordinated action towards what matters and basically solve these complex global coordination challenges that nation states can't solve because they've got this small boundary and they have the incentive of just that part of Earth. And so this is a structure to solve global coordination problems.
I've heard it all before. And I've heard it with other things that you mentioned already today. I mean, I do understand the inverse. I do understand the different distributed control, the distributed development, the ability to make your own identity or your group identity. That's amazing. But I'm going to throw out another character here for our first podcast, Elephant Turd. Elephant Turd is the only thing bigger than bullshit. All right? So there's going to be sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and a cool picture that I got from Dolly. I love it. ChatGPT, Dolly, use it. It's awesome. Okay. Elephant Turd is this, ESG. You're talking about these ideal states. You're talking about what is a network state versus a nation state. Obviously, Brandon brought in the Gatorade from Florida and said, hey, what is this motherfucking nation state? Because a lot of people don't even understand what that is. And then we asked them, hey, okay, let's look at a regenerative economy within a network state. That's kind of complex for people. But one of the things that is a big issue, and you mentioned at the beginning of our podcast, this will be the last question about this, and then I want your advice for the next generation. ESG governance. How is the refi world in this new network state governed, and especially taking into account if all these cities build on refi and they're all doing these things? What's the governance structure? Who decides that?
Yeah, so the idea is each local node will delegate a number of representatives to participate in global governance. So the global governance structure of ReFiDAO has a bunch of local representatives who've been nominated by their token holders in their community to help us make decisions at a global level. So that's kind of like the core base governance layer.
Is that pro ESG or like, you know what I mean? Does that fit within the ESG paradigm, or are you kind of an ESG, anti-ESG?
No, we're not anti-ESG. I mean, ESG is just like environmental and social governance, and it's just trying to create a set of boundaries to encourage public companies to, consider their environmental impact, their social impact, and their governance structures of how they make decisions.
So you're looking at also institutional involvement in ReFiDAO as well as individuals and communities.
Totally. We want to be working with the ministers of environment, the ministers of finance, and all of these local cities. We want to be having public, private, and third sector partnerships to basically show, hey, we can all do this together, that we all need to win to make this work. And so I think for us, like many DAOs out there today have been incredibly ineffective and actually practice very poor governance. And we want to see this as a very long-term play. This is a multi-generation infrastructure that we're building. And we want to be very careful and very cautious as we implement governance systems. And we want to run small experiments at the local level. And we want to build a resilient system that is anti-fragile and sustains over a long period of time, because we need this till 2050 and beyond.
Love it. Anything else, bro?
Yeah, what the NFT is ESG? I mean, I heard about it on ESGN, but they never told me exactly what it stood for.
Mate, WTF is all I got to say to that.
But what is
All right.
ESG? Can you like break that down, like for anybody, including myself, like what does ESG stand for?
Yeah, E is environmental, S is social, and G is governance. And you basically can break down the UN Sustainability Development Goals into these three categories, E, S, and G. So you have this global consensus about what we need to do to take care of our people, to take care of our planet, and to take care of our economic structures. And it's basically grouped into those three columns.
Cool. So there's guiding principles here, and then you guys connect. Yes, you're connecting the community to those principles.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And having publicly verifiable impact. Because so much about the ESG space and the current market, it's opaque. You can't tell how this was scored. You can't tell what the data is. You can't look at the satellite imagery or the drone footage or the field sample of somebody taking a photo on the ground. And that's what we're trying to pioneer with Web3 tech, is to bring all the data on chain and make sure that anybody can verify it. And you don't have to trust, you verify.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of a challenge, of course, because of the centralization, decentralization piece. Last thing, man, thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time. Thanks
Sure.
for coming in. I think we had
It's
a
been
really
super
rich
fun.
conversation. That's what we do at Crypto Mondays. Crypto Mondays is always like 20, 30-minute conversations. We keep it light, keep it cool, but
Love
we
it.
also get to the deep issues, and we're not afraid to talk the truth. And all right, and again, our only sponsor for this episode is Shill. So go shill your shit, but just make sure that you shill it good. I'm going to shill right now. RefiDAO. It's RefiDAO.com. All right, ReFiDAO.com. If you want to get involved in this revolution, this is one, if not the most inspiring one that I've seen. And I'm meeting all these people now. They're going to be on this podcast. We're going to talk about other things. If you want to subscribe, click the link or come visit us at Crypto Mondays on Twitter, Crypto Mondays on Instagram, Crypto Mondays New York. We have 50 different cities. Try and look up a Meetup or Eventbrite, or just online, find your local Crypto Mondays. I have one last question for you, man. I know you want to go, but I think it's super important.
Yep.
This next generation, they care about the environment. They're the change makers.
100%.
You have experienced real world leadership in startups, in DAOs, in gov.org. Man, that was a hell of a resume there. What's your advice to young people that want to be involved and take leadership roles and get into the Web3 space and become a leader like you, bro?
Yeah, man, I would say get involved in your local community. Bring people together.
Crypto Mondays.
And this is a great way, Crypto Mondays, meeting people in
Web3.
person. And check out our application to become a local node. We are going to incubate a local node in a city in the global south in this alpha cohort using
What?
the Gitcoin grants protocol.
What?
So we're raising a match funding pool with partners. And if you're a city in the developing world, you're a founder with a vision of regeneration in that city, we would love to help you raise some money and get a chance to become a local ReFiDAO node and to make history together. Let's do
Hear
this.
that? Let's do this. All right, wait. Next, we're going to go be in LA. Then we're going to go to Dubai. And then we're going to be in my hometown, Miami. So we're going to
I
be in
gotta
Miami.
catch a flight, man.
Okay, brother. All right.
Please, yo.
Hey, what's your website?
Krypton Labs. You can check out Krypton Labs, CRYPTAN labs.com. And I'm also BrandonDavid _Music Tech Connect on Instagram, Music Tech Media on Twitter.
All right. See you guys
Boom.
later.
Let's go.
Kansas, #1. All right. Cheers.
You guys are fun, man. Peace.
Hey.
Fuck yeah, you guys are awesome.